how to install CruzArmor on the rear fender top on an Indian Challenger. Go ahead and open your kit. You're gonna look at it and see which way it fits, obviously. So it's positioned right. Go ahead and clean fender with alcohol water mixture. So we're getting wax off of there. Any oils, anything that might make it to where film doesn't stick. If you have any specks or dust or bugs, obviously you want it to be detailed and clean or new. So you're starting with something fresh here. Then we got the soapy mix. So I'm doing right here. We're gonna soap it up and then soap up the kit really well. The outside, your hands, the wetter the better on this stuff, so the dust doesn't stick. And then start to peel and spray. You don't want to peel the whole thing off at once, because then you're standing there with a big sticky adhesive piece of plastic attracting dust and anything, and if you drop it, you're toast. So keep it wet, keep it soapy, because once it's all soaked up, you can literally fold it over onto itself. It doesn't matter. So once it's wet, kind of the adhesive doesn't come into play right now when it's soapy. So it'll slide around, so that bottom adhesive is not tacking right now. So now it's just a matter of lining everything up. So it's starting to tack up there, if you can see. So I'm gonna go ahead and just lift it, make sure that that's good and soapy. We want it sliding right now. Okay? So what we can do, starters, is make sure that's right. Perfect. Okay, so down here you're gonna see the little cutouts, the little notches. We're gonna add a little alcohol down there, just on the tips. And what that's gonna do is wash out that soap and allow the adhesive to tack down. So I'm just leaving like a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch around these little tail light frame pieces that stick up here. There, so that is all, like I say, we used alcohol, so that's all tacked now. It's not gonna slide around. I'm even gonna go ahead and get these little ears, and I'm gonna just pull them down a little bit so they're tight on both sides. And again, just kind of making sure it's tight. There we go. Okay, so we got a good anchor down there. We can't squeegee anything through this wall, so don't think about it. Any of this soap, we have to go up and out. So again, make sure it's soapy. Make sure we're sliding on a good layer of soap. You don't want the adhesive of the film touching dry paint. So now we're gonna pull this up. So these two ears, we're gonna alcohol up these. We're gonna spray alcohol to wash that soap out. Kind of both of these little tab ears on the top, and even a little bit in the middle there. Okay, so now when we grab, because we're gonna grab and pull it, because the problem we have right now are all these fingers, what we call them, which aren't gonna lay down. But when you pull it, as you see, those disappear. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna make sure those have alcohol. So when we pull them and stretch them, I kind of wiggle it back and forth just to make sure it's sliding. And now I'm applying pretty good pressure up there. So this side stuck, this side didn't. We add a little more alcohol to both. There we go. So again, just pulling it up. And I'm pressing down with my thumbs, kind of using them almost like a squeegee, pushing forward with them. And as you can see, the thing already tacked down. So now we're just gonna finish our job up here and kind of push all that alcohol up. If you notice, you have any thumbprints up here where you just did that, or bubbles, at this point now you can kind of lift that and squeegee it out. Since this is all anchored, and we can just lay it back down nicely with the squeeze. So we'll go ahead and do that to this side as well. I can't really see if there's any thumbprints up there from this angle, but I'm going to go ahead and pull it back, alcohol it, and lay it back down. And again, now at this point, we don't really need to, we don't have to stretch it again because everything's kind of tacking down. So now we got an anchor down here, we have an anchor on top, and we need to basically clean out this center. So we're gonna start squeegeeing up and out. We're gonna do the center, again coming down and up and out. Overlapping strokes so that you don't leave any pockets of liquid or air or bubbles or anything under there. Keep the top sprayed and soapy so that your squeegee slides nice. Use overlapping strokes again, and when it's wet, you can, the nice thing is you can see where your strokes are. You can see where you went. So again, the wetter the better. And then when we get up here, we're kind of just gonna go side to side. If you ever get a spot where it seems like I got something going on here, a little dry spot, just lift it. And spray it. If you ever get a piece of dust, something big, a hair, same thing. Just make sure it's good and wet and soapy, and lift it up, wash it out, and lay it back down. As long as these are anchored, again, this center stuff's easy. Just moving everything side to side. And then we're gonna worry about these actual edges in 1 second, so don't worry about that. So right now, again, this kind of center section, we wanna make sure everything's out of here. So look it over, make sure you get a good reflection in the light so you can kind of look and see that you don't have any bubbles, liquid, that are hiding from you. And you look good. So now we're gonna take the alcohol and I'm just gonna lightly do this edge. I'm lifting it up just with the tip of my finger, just to get a little alcohol under there. And then squeegee it down. And that alcohol will lock that edge down. If you have any fingers, the alcohol will lock those down as well. If you didn't stretch it far enough, if you have an issue where you have fingers that you just can't get to lay down, the reason, again, for those fingers is you didn't stretch it far enough to make those things disappear. All a finger is too much material right there. So when you stretch it, you're spreading that material out over a bigger area instead of all wadded up together. So when you're stretching it, make sure those fingers are gone. If you have small fingers, though, you can work those out, but big fingers, you don't want big fingers. That's it. And then you just take a dry towel. When you're wiping it down, wipe away from the edges. Don't wipe up against them, because you could lift it and it'll curl. You could get some yellow microfibers under there. So just dry away. Make sure those edges are dry so that they don't lift. If you want, if it's cooler weather, if you're back east or under 50, 60 degrees, you may want to take a heat gun and just warm the edges. You don't want to bake it, you don't want to melt it. I keep my finger on the edge while I'm heat gunning so that you can kind of feel the heat. So like on this one, so again, we're just kind of warming that edge with your fingers there. And that'll just dry it out so that it won't lift on you, but this one isn't going to lift. We had a good stretch. We didn't have any big fingers. And that is a rear fender protected for the long haul.